I was listening to a podcast this week, as I do, and the question of what have you gained from failure that you wouldn't have gained from success? And I know I've talked about resilience, and I think that this points back to that question of like, sometimes when we ask for things like a better job, a better house, a better fill in the blank, right? We can experience a big failure. And I think to a certain degree, life is about looking at that failure as if that is the stepping stone to the next thing, right? Like we talk about stepping stones being like if you're trying to get a better career, but you still have to like keep your job in order to pay your bills. It's the reframing of your mind to from I am stuck here at this job that I don't like, and it's reframing it to be like I don't like the job that I'm at. However, I am building my thing on the side, or I am going home every day and writing my book and meditating, whatever those things may be. I think it's about seeing failure or seeing, it's like perceiving things as failure when in fact you needed to lose that job in order for you to progress. Like you needed to lose that relationship in order for you to progress to get to the place that you are asking to be. So if we look at these moments of like grief and loss of the things that we thought we could take with us, um, it's just remembering that when we ask for a big change and we get a perceived failure, like know that that is actually the universe answering you with, okay, go this way, right? Like, okay, you want that thing? Go this way. And I think it's important that we don't get caught up in that, because if we then sit and be like, oh, I lost the relationship, or I lost the house, or I, whatever, right? The job, the career. But I think what it comes down to is like, instead of getting stuck in that place of I just lost everything and all I was asking for was something better, like why did you do this, right? But I think it's it's the reframing of the mind into, oh, okay, great, okay, got it, I will walk this way then, right? It's just like the accepting and the moving forward into the space that you are asking to be created for you. um yeah, I think that's like the main piece and the main response to that question that I had. um like I guess for me in my life, I lost my job, and instead of being torn up about it, I was like, you know what, I was asking for something better. I'm asking for a better situation. And within a week of me asking, I lost my job. And instead of being like, oh my gosh, like my life is ruined, I can't even fake that voice, but like, oh my god, everything's ruined. Instead of falling into that, I was like, bet, okay, here are the 10 things I'm going to work on every single day to better myself, to provide for myself, to like create a meditation practice, to learn how to take care of myself physically, to start new practices, seeing which ones work, which ones don't. I went all in. And though I've talked about not seeing a lot of external success. The internal success that I'm feeling is indescribable. And I can't show it to anyone, which is kind of the most frustrating part, right? Like, I mean, maybe I could walk up to somebody and be like, see this thing? Like, this thing just makes me really happy. Or like, this thing doesn't scare me anymore, like, but it's like, no one will really get it, right? Because they're not me. And so I think if you're in a place right now where you have been wanting and striving towards a better thing or an evolution of self, and you're feeling right now a lot of grief and despair and loss, just remember that that is temporary and it is a part of the process. And you need to, like, as cheesy as it is, like, you need to move through it, you need to sit with it and then say, okay, grief, I feel you, it hurts, and now what? um I just think that that's really important for those who are seeking to manifest or work towards a new life. Like, if you want to manifest the job of your dreams and you're working a shitty job, like, you're gonna have to leave that job. And that may or may not be a graceful experience. But you can't just sit at the job you don't like or the relationship you don't like, wishing for the new thing and just expecting it to drop into your life. You need to work towards it. And so, with that comes the habits, right? The working on self through meditation, through um, any self practices, through nervous system regulation, through exercise. Like, all of these different things can create a better life for yourself. So, if you are in a moment of despair, let this be a reminder that it is temporary. And the best way through that is to create habits and ritual or routine for yourself, whatever you want to call it, and stick with it and see the progress exponentially, right? So the first couple weeks, it might be like nothing's changing. I still feel like shit every day, but keep going because eventually it's going to start to pick up a pace and become exponential. And I want to talk a little bit about like habits and routine because I think one thing that I've found for myself to be really helpful is, and I actually only noticed this yesterday, maybe the day before, as I was journaling and trying to figure out what I wanted to talk about this week. And I think I've been doing these things that I've been calling habits. And I think what I'm actually doing is creating ritual for myself. And I love the idea of that. And I didn't even know I was doing it. And I think that's what makes it so much more beautiful for me in this moment to interpret, because I've been asking for more magic in my life, and I have been for a long time. And I think in order to bring more magic, there needs to be a putting into that I wasn't really getting, right? Like, yes, I was getting up and meditating. Yes, I'm doing my like my quick morning meditation, and I'm also trying to do like more like in-depth study of different religions, mythologies, theologies. And in that study, I've been diving deep into myself. And in all of these practices, I think I was just doing them because I felt like I had to do them, right, in order to progress into becoming who I am currently attempting to grow into, right? And I think that adding a little bit of more of like a ritualistic nuance to it has been really profound, because it's like, yes, like growth happens from doing something every day and committing to that and like seeing the benefit of that every single day. But if adding the ritualistic element to it just kind of adds that little spark of magic that I've been wanting out of my practices, and it creates like a little bit more of like a connection with the practices that I've been working with. And it's been quite profound to like set a space a little bit differently, with incense or candles. And I didn't think it made that big of a difference, but already so far, I feel like my practices have shifted just a little bit into the more magical. So, my morning practice has been developed, and I've been working with it for close to, I would say maybe close to like 8 or 9 months. And all my other practices have like slowly kind of like tagged on to that. Um, and I think in the past 2 weeks or 3 weeks or so, I've noticed the most profound differences, and just like my awareness and my ability to wake up and like just like flow into this practice immediately. And every time I like watch a video on like different meditation practices or different theologies, like I kind of like add one in for a little bit, see if I like it. And if I do, then I kind of add it in somewhere. And if I don't, then I move on to the next thing. And I think it's been really fun to like see myself experiment in this small, 15 minutes of my day every day. Um, but it's like I look forward to this little moment with myself every morning. And there are still probably definitely days where I'm like, oh, I don't want to start my day, right? I just don't. But I think what it comes down to is like, I want to live desperately. I want to be alive. I want to love. I want to share my art, my passions. Like, I want to talk to people. I want to communicate. I'm really learning that I love having conversations with people. And I want to be able to foster that. And so, in that, I've found that, like, when I'm doing something in my day, like filming these videos, I've definitely procrastinated this video because I just like I don't know, some weeks I feel like I'm like ready to go and I have something to say and I'm really excited about it, and some days or some weeks like this week I don't know, like I just don't want to. And I'm like, okay, pause. Like what I sat with myself yesterday and was like, why don't you want to? Because if you think about the thing that you're trying to progress the most and see the most progression in, like, why would you procrastinate that? And I think that's so true, because this communication with the void, right, which are you watching, just so happens to be, right? But right now, I'm sitting in my room talking to a camera, looking down the barrel of a lens in a room by myself, right? And expressing myself vulnerably. And something about that for me is really important. And every week I watch back my videos and am kind of in awe of what I'm saying. And the fact that I was like actively trying to procrastinate against it was very interesting to me, because whenever I find attention in like not wanting to do something, I get really curious because I'm like, okay, well, am I procrastinating it? Do I not want to do that thing because I don't need to do that thing? Do I not want to do that thing because I don't want to do that thing? Do I not want to do that thing because I'm not supposed to do that thing? And I think I find myself asking that question often in my day-to-day life of like, okay, I'm being overwhelmed with options, right? And so I'm like, okay, so like social media is always an easy one. Of like, I don't know what to do, social media, right? And I actually this week I deleted um, the my Instagram app off of my phone. I didn't delete TikTok because I don't know if we'll ever be able to download it again, but I've been on it like twice in the past week. Um, and I already notice a huge difference. So now when I get overwhelmed, this week specifically, I jump onto YouTube and like look for like a video about like theology or philosophy just because I like those kind of videos. But I have also been noticing myself avoiding silence, avoiding nothingness. And I think this video comes with a lot of preparation in the nothingness, in the silence. And I find it fascinating that on a couple levels, I was avoiding this project. And um, I think it's like, well, I'm actually doing this for myself, for my growth, for my confidence, for my like world. Um, and I've noticed even just in these, this is week 7, but just in these 7 weeks, I've noticed my ability to communicate with people has gotten better. My ability to have conversations has gotten better. My ability to like navigate eye contact in a conversation has gotten better. For some reason, I don't know, looking at a camera, just like, I don't know, something about it shifted for me. And I feel like I am better able to express myself because I've given myself this place, this like small place in my home, just like by myself, able to express really vulnerably. And I could just not post this. I could record it and keep it for myself, but I something about recording a vlog, that like type thing, I guess, has just like felt really important, and I've been called to do it and I don't know why. But and maybe I won't ever know why, right? But um I think these moments of tension where we don't know what to do next, right? Like we're in a cataclysm of perceived failure, or we're just bored, or we're overstimulated, or overwhelmed. Like these moments, it's easier to keep up with bad habits. And maybe not bad habits, but just like habits that we don't need to be doing, like scrolling social media, or, you know, if we find ourselves with a pause in the day, immediately finding our phones and checking to see if anybody has messaged us, or maybe messaging somebody, starting a conversation. And I think there's a lot to be said for sitting in the nothingness or sitting in the grief. I think it is important, but I think it's important for us also to remember not to get stuck there. So it's like if I'm actively avoiding sitting with myself so that I can journal and figure out what I want to say in this video, then I need to take a look at why. Because actively avoiding growth is easier than actively striding towards growth. Change and growth are both uncomfortable. And if and I'm speaking directly to myself on this one, I think, like if we avoid the things that are hard, then the things that we're dreaming of might not ever come to be. And I'm not saying that everything in life has to be hard or everything needs to be a struggle, but I think there's a lot to be said for overcoming hurdles and building that like resilience so that maybe the next time, you know, you are in a relationship, you're able to leave before you find yourself stuck for years, or and relationships, job, etc., those things that we kind of cling to and stick with, right? Like everybody knows somebody in their life that's been at their job too long and they've hated it the whole time and they just can't quit. They can't move on with their life, but all they have the capacity to do is to complain about it. I understand, I've been there. It's a hard fucking place to be. But in those moments of like actively working against yourself, can create moments then that later in a relationship, job, etc., you're able to see it for what it is, and you're able to navigate it in a way where you don't end up losing 7 years of your life at a job that you hate, and then maybe getting like let go and then not knowing what to do with your life because it was like ripped away from you, right? Like I think to a certain degree there are ways to navigate things so that the tower moments, right, in tarot, that the tower moment maybe is a little bit more gentle. But sometimes we need those big tower moments because we wouldn't have left on our own, right? Like we wouldn't have left that job or that relationship because it was comfortable enough, right? Um, yeah, I think that's my main point on that one. Let's see. Yeah, I think. Okay, I'm gonna wrap it up. So I think if we focus on what we're trying to achieve or evolve into, and we find ourselves having grief or despair or loss, it's important to remember that these moments of clearing things out of your life are incredibly important. And if you still had that thing, you wouldn't get the thing that you're asking for. And we can do and better ourselves in these moments of grief where we can work on ourselves actively, earnestly every day to become the version of ourselves that we want to be, and then thus the situation that we're asking for potentially will have more space to come in because you'll be able to be at that level where you've done the work, you've done the homework, and you are ready to show up in your life for the thing that you are asking for. And with all of that, creating rituals with our habits so that we can add that little like spice of magic into our life so that it's not just asking, it's working towards. Yeah. So if you have watched all the way to the end, welcome to the end of the video. And I have a Patreon where I post these. I post meditations that I'm working with, and I'm growing there to see how I want that space to be navigated. And please like and subscribe to my channel. or like this video and subscribe to my channel. It really helps. And yeah, thank you so much. Have a beautiful week.